And welcome back for another episode of Loss of Down, brought to you by Tabbies.com, the premier Delta 8 edible on the market, TABEASE.com. Make sure you use promo code football for 20% off that order, as well as free shipping. We have a full house. We know the boys. I'm Steve. He is Wally. He is David. David, I'll toss it to you. It's been a little bit longer without seeing that gorgeous face. How you been, buddy?
I've been great outside of the whole week I was sick thing. I literally could not, when I missed the pod, what was that, 2 weeks ago? I literally could not stand up without sneezing or coughing. I was like I had to be just parallel with the ground and I'd be fine. But I don't know what was wrong with me, but it was not great.
Kylie's going through that right now. Currently, she has tissues stuffed up her nose because she literally is. We'll get a live look of it. There you go. Way to make the cut, Kylie. So that's going out to the public. And she just doesn't realize that yet. But she is, and she works in healthcare, so she has the mask on all day on top of the runny nose. So
that's horrible. I like that.
Hellacious weekend. Oof.
Poor woman. The mask on top of a runny nose sounds horrific.
Poor me.
Oh my God.
I was going to say the snore factor. To all the peace and love, Kylie.
No, my snoring is the one who takes the cake there. So it doesn't matter if it's that or not. I'm sleeping like a baby.
See, I have buddies now that have got the CPAP machine, other bigger dudes like myself, and it's become like a mission for me. I am so determined to get a CPAP for myself because they are beaming, like they're happy. They wake up energetic because they get to actually sleep. I wake up, I feel like I got hit by a train. It doesn't matter how much sleep I get because it's all shitty fat man sleep with that choking my sleep on my tongue.
Let me introduce you. Try a mouth guard first because that's what I have to cut my snoring, and it does. I snore way less, and there are certain mouth guards that push your jaw out a little bit, so they're uncomfortable at first, but you get used to them. And if you push your jaw out, it's supposed to cut all the non-sleep apnea snoring. So if you're not breathing while you sleep at random times and that's why you snore, that's different. That's where you need a CPAP machine. But if you're just a snorer because you're a big guy and a snorer, the mouth guard that pushes your bottom jaw out helps.
Okay. I'll have to look into it because it's definitely something I want to do. It's just I don't want to have to do a sleep study to get it.
That's why you got to try the mouth guard first. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't want to be sleeping. It's hard enough for me to fall asleep as it is.
Fall asleep, do it now. We want to study
and you're watching me, and I'm like, okay, and then I won't snore. It'll be the one night of my life I won't snore.
Post-COVID, you do at-home sleep studies. They can do it. All they do is send you all the equipment, and they say if you don't, they give you the shipping label, and then they say if you don't send this back within 24 hours of the end of your sleep study date, you'll be charged for the equipment, which is $600 or $1,200 or some absurd amount of money. But they give you the shipping label, you just drive to UPS and ship it back, and they're fine.
Really? Yeah. I'm just imagining they have a Zoom or something.
It's
staring at me.
It's literally a little machine like this.
Oh no, he's sleepwalking
with 10 cables that come out of it and annoy the shit out of you. But it's way better. You're not in a hospital. You're not you just do it in your own bed. You just have annoying cables running around your face.
Okay. Well, you've talked me into it. I'm open
also
for
just
business.
Sent you a link to the mouth guard.
Perfect. I might be able to report back in a few weeks that maybe I'm sleeping better, which I won't be. I'll probably we'll cross this bridge when I buy a freaking mouth guard for my sleep. That sounds wonderful. How about you, though, Steven? What's going on in your world outside of the wonderful lady who can't breathe? What's going on?
Got a sick girlfriend, got a recovering pup. So this weekend got to hang out, watch whatever Masters was on up until Sunday. Even got to golf a little bit yesterday. So I'm kind of sniffly as well. The allergies are coming up. It's 70 plus in Columbus. It's supposed to be beautiful all week. So not really that many sports on during the week. I've resorted to betting on baseball already. So I don't know if that speaks to my degeneracy as much as my competitiveness, but it's definitely competitive.
It's degeneracy.
I don't even want to talk about baseball right now. I
Not
really
if you
don't want to
win.
talk about baseball.
Baseball isn't a sport. You're just betting on a game.
See, I bet on strikeout props. That's electric because you know how many times that these pitchers are giving up walks or pop flies or ground balls on
That's
counts with
degeneracy.
two
That
When you
is
get to
straight degeneracy.
Steven, you're betting on individual events of players that you know nothing about.
That
That is
is straight
degeneracy.
degeneracy.
Yeah, but it's not Iranian football league. It's
Yeah,
professional.
just
It's
because
MLB.
you know what the sport is, if you don't know the players playing it, you
It's
really
the same
don't know
thing.
the
Yeah,
sport.
it would be the same thing as the Iranian football league. It'd be like betting on one of those players to score 3 goals in a game just because.
That's just because you lost, Wally.
What do you, no, I'm upset because O'Neal Cruz is dead. Easter was
Yes.
holidays robbed me of my favorite teams. Christmas
Every
Eve took
dingus day.
Derek Carr away from me twice, and now Easter's taking O'Neal Cruz. I have nothing.
At least you have Brian Hoyer, but we're gonna get to that. I'm glad everyone
The
had a good.
destroyer.
I'm glad everyone had a good Easter Sunday. Hope everyone had a great match. Shout out to John Ron. Won me some money yesterday as well. Accidentally double bet him over the weekend here because he had like
That's a
bet
good problem
insured
to have.
on FanDuel. It was a good problem. It really wasn't up until probably hole 4 of the 4th round yesterday, but I was sweating there for a little bit. But after that, it was clear sailing.
I respect it.
Let's
I
get
didn't
into-
bet on it, but
Of course you did.
okay, when did you have it? Was this like a pre-tournament bet on Rom?
No.
Okay.
I took him when he was like 4 back or whatever. I only got him at plus 120.
It's decent value though. At least you didn't take Brooks.
One at plus 120, one at plus 125. Yeah.
Did you guys hear the story that I can't remember what player that played with Tiger said that he actually had a screw from his surgically repaired leg break the skin coming out yesterday? It's why he withdrew.
Columbus's own Jason Day reported that apparently. Not Columbus's own, he is an Australian, but resides in Westerville, just not too far from here in Columbus. But yeah.
Don't you guys have like a crazy course that you have like massive members of right there? Jack Nicklaus, obviously.
Yep. We got
right
Murfield.
there, Golden Bear.
Yeah, Murfield right there in Dublin. So every year they have the Memorial Tournament, which is the Monday. It starts the Monday after Memorial Day, or it starts on Memorial Day, I should say, because it is usually that Monday or whatever, the second to last Monday in May, whatever it may be. So it starts on there. It's phenomenal. It's an electric time. It's the most fun event that isn't a PGA Tour, that also isn't the Waste Management Open.
Yeah, I was going to say Waste Management. It's kind of like a college atmosphere for golf. It's kind of hard to top that one.
That one's the anomaly. But
yeah,
like
that's
these
cool.
are like people will come and play this course like not wanting to win. They're like, no, it's you're going to Jack's home, you're going up to Dublin. The Bogey Inn after is just an electric factory, just thousands, close to hundreds, peaking probably around 2,000 plus people, crowded,
plus,
live
for the
music.
people right there. Didn't Tiger Woods basically own this tournament for the better part of a decade? Like it felt like he was winning every year.
You could say that about probably every tournament from the 90s.
That's true too.
The 90s to the early 2000s.
This was a particular one because he had such respect for Jack that he always spoke very highly, wanting to play well on his home course, which is really cool too.
I will say the last time I went to Memorial, I try to go every year. It's just 15 minutes down the road. My buddy Connor, who you remember, used to get tickets, so we'd always get the hook up on it, and I'd be able to go last second. Got a wedding this year, unfortunately, on the Saturday of it. Could swing Sunday, but Sunday in the middle of June in Columbus for a golf tournament after a wedding, kill me. But no, last time I went, I remember being in the fairway, seeing Tiger Woods. It's probably a solid like 40, 50, 60 yards from me. And then Jack Nicklaus's house is on the course. It's probably about a mile up, like within it. Like you have to take like a gator or, a 4x4 golf cart, whatever, up the road. But yeah, I see Tiger right there. Turn around. There's Jack just driving his gator, turning around, waving to everybody.
That's awesome.
It's amazing.
It's like when we lost Arnold Palmer, it really hurt because these old school golf legends are getting to that age. And it just kind of like scares you because this generation doesn't have all that much time on this earth left. So it's just like you want to cherish every moment at these tournaments that these guys are able to come out, be around the public. So that's really cool that you've got to do that. Hopefully you get to do a lot more. Hopefully,
Well,
get to see Tiger a lot more too.
Yeah, hopefully you guys can come on down. If not this year, maybe next year. They got practice rounds and everything. It's a beautiful course. It's hotty toddy court. Houses are beautiful $1 million homes on the course. People are out there getting shit faced, and they got fuck you money. They're having a good time out there. So I can't wait for next year, right when I really get to dive back into it. Cool. So let's get into a little bit of NFL news. We don't have too much going into this week, but the headliner out of Easter Sunday, we have Odell Beckham finding a new home in the Baltimore Ravens on a 1-year, $15 million deal with incentives that can take it all the way to 18 mil. Still don't have Lamar Jackson signed at that quarterback position, but it makes you think, is this enough to lure him in? There's reports that he was kind of bringing Odell in. He was kind of recruiting him here a little bit. Maybe this will all put it to rest that Lamar signs back. Regardless, we'll get to Lamar. Odell Beckham, back in the NFL, back on a team. What are your thoughts on the contract and him signing in Baltimore?
Well, I'll go first because, David, I think we're going to have very similar thoughts. I don't know why this is our leading story because he hasn't been a story leading wide receiver in years. We're talking about this because it is April 10th and there's nothing else to talk about. He is at best an average wide receiver too, at best. Here's the way I tell you, if they get Lamar back, then you can characterize this as a win because it's funny money. We'll get into that after. But if you don't get Lamar back, how is this anything but a failure on multiple fronts? It's a failure.
Go off, David.
Look, Wally's even higher on him than I am. I think he's a tier 3 receiver. He's a wide receiver 3 at best. For 18 million, 15 million in guarantees, for a guy that we haven't seen be consistently above average since his first year with the Browns in 2019, I think. So 4 years ago, coming off his second ACL tear in as much time, and third overall, maybe even fourth overall. I don't even remember at this point because there's been so many. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And the only spin for the Ravens is that the last time OBJ was consistently not good, above average, was with Todd Monken in Cleveland. So you're talking about an offensive coordinator who's getting a guy he's known to work with before and known to produce with before. The other thing to consider is if you look at PFF grades, they're so for receivers. It's hard to actually grade them appropriately in PFF. But OBJ is the highest graded receiver. If you're using 2021, where he only had 500 yards after starting 13 games, he is the highest graded receiver the Ravens have had since Steve Smith in 2016. So that's also some perspective. But honestly, go Ravens. Keep making these moves. Big fan. I don't think this has anything to do with Lamar Jackson. I don't know how this, to Wally's point, I don't know how this moves the needle for him.
And it's funny that, to your point about his productivity, people were losing their mind when this dude was averaging 40 yards a game with the Rams. It's like, dude, he's the number 2 receiver to the guy who just broke the single season record, who just had the triple crown. He just went off. Like, why are we giving this dude props for not even breaking half of 100 yards per game? And I get it. Yeah, he did great. Yeah, the trajectory of what he was doing in the Super Bowl, maybe he would have had a 100-yard game. Maybe the defense would have adjusted and made Cooper Kupp beat them, which is exactly what they did, right? So I'm tired of all the Odell. To David's point and the argument that we all make, what have you done for me lately? And this is a team full of them between Lamar and Odell Beckham right now, if Lamar does re-sign with them. But to your point, Odell haven't had a productive season, and he, in my opinion, just screwed the rest of his career. He's not going to get a big money contract after this. You're going to a team that 2019, Lamar's MVP year, that was a top 13 in terms of yards passing offense. All the other years in between, that's a bottom 7, including the worst, his rookie year. Now, granted, they've gotten better. Of course, you're going to have more than 180 yards passing per game than you do now, but bottom 7, the other 2, and Mark Andrews is your number 1, and you can't keep a healthy receiver. Oh, yeah, and forgot to neglect the point you haven't had a Pro Bowl wide receiver for that specific position ever in your franchise history. We went over this a month ago. Odell just shot himself in the foot. And for the contract for the Ravens, it's actually solid. You're like the Hunter Renfrow, Allen Robinson range, which is pretty good for wide receivers. So, Wally, what do you think about the addition of Odell Beckham heading down to Baltimore?
Well, you guys will notice my mic is different. So if I repeat
Whoa,
anything you
Wally,
guys
you
have
sound
said,
great, dude.
if I repeat anything either of you said, I was being a mental head case trying to figure out the problem. I've already told you.
Midget.
I know. Look at me. I'm growing as a person. That's like one of my favorite things to say. And now it's like a problem. So I'm like, I can't say it. And it's frustrating because it's a great way or little catchphrase, whatever. But anyways.
Fucking mental midget.
I am one. However, the wide receivers in Baltimore, yes, we can talk about their lack of Pro Bowls. This is amazingly, if Lamar comes back, without a doubt, the best wide receiving core he's had. And that's not good. You do have Todd Monken coming in to help, but I mean, you got Rashad Bateman, who is a 2 himself in the best case scenario. Devin Duvernay, who maybe is a 600-yard receiver. It's so weird. Nelson Aguilar, he's elite, but at this stage of his career too, like, what are we doing here? Why is Lamar coming back? This is, if he does, it just goes even further to show how much he shot himself in the foot, because his contract won't be good because he's his own agent, and now he's got no one to throw to. You got Todd Monken who's coming in. Maybe it works out, but you don't know. Greg Roman is really, his offense is the reason why Lamar has been so successful. So I'm just interested, I guess is the best way to say, where he ends up, because I don't know why this would move the needle if I'm Lamar.
Yeah, if I'm Lamar, like, all eyes are on him if he resigns. He could have a worse drop off than what at least I wasn't expecting. But the Brian Daboll Josh Allen relationship, all of a sudden he started that offense wasn't consistently clicking as what we were kind of used to. Is all of a sudden Baltimore going to kind of take this face plant down, and now Lamar can't get it done without a certain coordinator?
Here's the thing to mention too. For Baltimore, we're talking about them taking risk and all this. You pay $15 million. We put him in the Hunter Renfrow category, like you said, Steven, before. But that's not really what it is, because his base salary is it's so low that a lot of this is funny money. The Ravens are only going to be on the hook for the book for under $4 million. It's not the 15 it looks like. So this is one of those examples. Again, the salary cap is a myth. If you have an owner willing to pay for these kind of structured deals, who cares? That's if I'm the Ravens right now, that's what this comes off. It's $4 million on the book. If you don't get them back, it's just the owner out of luck. No one else.
The Miami Dolphins might be out of luck. Oh, Ravens flock. The Miami Dolphins might be out of luck here because Tyreek Hill kind of dropped a bombshell here in the media that he plans on retiring after his contract is through after the 2025 season. I think it's too early to tell. David, I'll go over to you, but what are you taking out of this Tyreek Hill lack thereof drama?
Look, I think it's BS. I think that's like his dream is he's going to play out a big contract and leave the game and then go do quote unquote his own business things. And for me, if you told me he retired at 31, and you told me he went and he fully committed to training for the Olympic Games, sure, I can see that. I mean, he does that in his spare time anyways, but that to actually make the Olympics, you got to be a full-time commit.
And 31 years old is an ancient man for the Olympics, by the way.
Right. And so if you told me that was it, I could see it. I'm not saying it could happen, but I could see it. I just don't know what business is Tyreek Hill involved in, because to me, he's
Child
like
MMA.
the anti, but he's like the, oh God, shocker. Anyways, he's like the anti-LeBron for me. You know, LeBron's involved in like 9,000 different things. Shaquille O'Neal's involved in 9,000 different things. And they were their whole career. Like, there was always like an aspect of, oh, they're going here for business. Oh, they're going here for Hollywood. And it's like, Tyreek Hill is kind of like, I don't know. I don't know what business he's getting into that people are getting involved with him in, but I just don't see him having this peak, P. Diddy post music billionaire path
Oh God, I
that he
hate P
thinks he's going to
Diddy.
have.
But it could be like a training, right? If he's from a certain area, if he stays in Miami, it can just be training purposes. I don't know how much business he's going to get out of that. A lot of NFL players or ex NFL players are doing that, but yeah, I don't really know. Maybe he is a secret pottery. Maybe like making some bosses.
This is the easiest way to answer your guys' question. If you haven't heard the interview, he talked to 810 WHB and KC, and he said that, so I really want to get into like the gaming space. I really want to get huge in that, and that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I'm using my platform, creating a gaming team, which isn't launched yet. It should launch by the end of this month. I'm just going to sign like different content creators, different athletes. I just want to be working like that, talking to different sponsors.
No. See, here's what's going to happen. He's not retiring. Right
now.
Right there, that sold me on he's not retiring because he's going to throw all of his money into this. It's going to fail, and he's going to need to play out the second mega contract to get all of his money back for retirement.
Well, I don't know the numbers.
The gaming industry that shit's blowing up, and you have,
100%. But he's not going to create some channel that's going to take off more than YouTube does with Dr. Disrespect or Tim the Tap Man or Nick Merckx. It's not going to take off on Twitch with like Ninja is making money or was making money, not anymore. But
you don't know that the hardest part of them getting that big is having the following. He already has the following, being a professional athlete. That's why it sucks trying to make
you don't get that following on gaming though unless you're actually. You don't get that following on gaming though unless you're good at the game. So they're entertained by the fact that he's a professional athlete.
But we didn't know that he was even leaving for gaming until 20 seconds ago. Yeah, we don't know how big he is.
I know that he streams and he has like his own Twitch and he plays like Fortnite and some other stuff. He's been doing that for a while.
People are only watching that because they're enticed by the athlete Tyreek Hill. When you retire, you carry less.
I'm just saying, did anybody know he was doing this?
I mean, I knew he was streaming video games. I didn't know he wanted to make a career out of it. That's
because he has 56,000 followers on Twitch. I don't know what normal is. I don't know what
that's weak.
56,000 would do. I just know that is what his goal is. To answer the question,
is anyone even over like
is gaming
$1 million for Twitch or like $500,000? I thought someone.
Well, Nick Merckx is the only one I know of.
No, Nick Merckx, Ninja, Tim the Tapman's off of Twitch, and I think so is Nick Merckx. Because they all signed with YouTube.
Nick Merckx, 6.7 million on Twitch.
Yeah, you got to be over at least 500,000 to consider a very large following.
Well, I guess here's the only other thing I'd say is that I don't believe in Tyreek Hill. I don't like him personally, and I think that goes back to him being obviously drafted by the Chiefs. The stuff leading into the draft, where with his girlfriend, those kind of things, his like child, like all these things just make it very hard for me to root for Tyreek Hill, the person. With that being said, we've seen now Pat McAfee is the guy, I think the model for everybody that wants to do shit like this. He leaves, but he was a punter. He left a punter salary. He didn't leave $30 million a year, which Tyreek Hill will be leaving when he's 31 or 25, whatever the new wide receiver cap will be around then. I just don't buy it. I told you guys when this happened, I think it's ridiculous to even be talking about it 3 years at a time. I'm done talking about Tyreek Hill. I can't stand him.
Geez, seem a little biased there. Well, we'll keep it moving on then, Walter. Don't worry about that.
He's a piece of shit. Like whatever.
No, it's fine. Let's talk about some fat boy news, right? The Titans inking a 4-year extension with defensive tackle, retweet, best position on the field, Jeffery Simmons. 4 years, $94 million, 66 guaranteed. He's the second highest graded interior defensive lineman behind Aaron Donald. he's a former first-round pick who fell to them because he had an ACL tear. And I think the last 2 seasons, he's got something like 16 sacks and 34 tackles for a loss. You're going to have to fact check me on those numbers. I know it's 16 sacks, 21 tackles for loss. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes now. 30 quarterback hits, 67 tackles overall, 13 passes defended, and 115 total pressures. Guy's a monster. It's a great signing for the Titans, but what do you guys think?
It's definitely getting reset, and that is the interior defensive lineman market right now. It is going to, I think, get kind of like, don't get me wrong, second annual AAV or whatever it is for defensive linemen, that's probably a little rich for Jeffery Simmons. But this happens when you reset values and give it about 3 years, and Jeffery Simmons will probably be in the right around 10 to 15 defensive tackle, and that'll be right. I think that'll be fair. And it reminded me a lot of the Grady Jarrett extension in Atlanta, because it felt like almost like a reward for sticking around during what will be a long and brutal rebuild. So he gets paid, and they get to keep a familiar face for fans who are going to be very, very miserable for 24, 36, 48 months.
Hey, at least they got a new stadium coming on the way. But yeah, I mean, 19th overall pick in 2019. He posted only 7.5 sacks last year, but he had a bum ankle basically the whole last half of the season. To your point about resetting this value, 2 things. Quentin Williams, Ed Oliver, Christian Wilkins, and Dexter Lawrence are the happiest men on the planet right now because of that contract, because all 4 of them, at least 3, maybe not Ed Oliver, are going to get more than him. I'd really have to look at Ed Oliver's numbers. But also, second, oh boy, this contract, I found it. I was like, I drew a blank. This contract only puts it behind.
I was just curious what you saw.
This contract only puts it behind Aaron Donald for defensive tackles, which is wild. So that market is about to explode. I wouldn't say maybe not this year, maybe halfway through the season when we really start seeing extensions go through. Wouldn't be surprised if next offseason would be almost like what the wide receivers were this past year, 2 years ago.
Anybody else have anything?
You hear it?
You throw ahead us. What?
You hear it? Do you hear it?
What do we hear?
The sirens are coming for the 911 Rapid Fire. Well, before we get it over to them, we want you to know this Rapid Fire is brought to you by Abby Turner Creative, your one-stop shop marketing agency specializing in branding, high-end photography, fashion, and more. Especially if you're our age where it feels like there's a college graduation, engagement, weddings, baby pictures, you name it. Every weekend they're happening. Abby Turner Creative is the only way to go. Check her out for yourself at abbyturnerphoto.com. That's Abby, ABBEY. Or on Instagram at Sawdad and Sapphire. Again, abbyturnerphoto.com. The Raiders. Sign Brian Hoyer. Bring Damian Amendola into the coaching staff. McDaniel, Ziegler won't stop until they get enough Massachusetts out there in Vegas. Wally?
Well, we've always seen how successful it's worked for all these Bill Belichick and Patriot disciples to leave and take the Patriot way elsewhere. Why wouldn't I be happy the Raiders are doing the same?
Because it's another phenomenal Braider. That's why. You should be excited to rack up the Braiders because,
I'll give you that.
Why wouldn't you want to rack up players that have experience on the Raiders and the Browns? Because both those franchises have been so highly successful over the last 25 years.
Yep. Culture win, baby.
Sports gambling gets legal in Massachusetts, and all of a sudden they're trying to make Foxborough West. I don't get it.
Whatever. Austin Ekeler, he might be stuck in Los Angeles because he's not getting a new deal, or at least getting moved from the Chargers. What do you guys think of this?
Quote unquote worst case scenario for Ekeler is to play there. You have to remember, guys, this isn't a relationship gone bad. There's respect on both sides, but there's just an understanding that Ekeler needs to get his contract. Not saying he needs to get overpaid, but the dude is, I think, extremely underpaid for what he's put on the field.
I think he's underpaid. From Ekeler's side, this is, tough scenes for him. I do think he's underpaid. However, if I'm the Chargers, I'm not paying him. I am so far against paying running backs unless you're paying them, $8 million a year to be his caliber player, because as we've seen over the last 5 years, you could probably replace 80% of his productivity, especially in the pass game, going and getting a 6th-round running back. Like I just it's hard for me to see it from any other way than the Chargers side, but I do feel bad because I want every NFL player to get their paycheck. It's just, if you're looking at it from a business perspective, you're not going to pay him.
Exactly. We're team pay players, but look how Ekeler got his start. He replaced a 1st-round running back in Melvin Gordon and did a better job than them. I'm happy to Chargers that are finally putting their heels in the sand, because some team had to do it. Does Ekeler deserve a raise? Sure. But at the same point, it doesn't mean that the Chargers aren't brilliant for understanding positional value. I hope he gets paid. It just ain't going to happen.
Well, they also have a rookie, Isaiah Spiller, I want to say is the name. I can't believe how quick that name goes. So is he going to get Melvin Gordon? All of a sudden, you never know. I'm taking this from you, Wally, because both of you are going to be happy because finally a running back that isn't getting paid. Joe Mixon was recharged here after another aggravated menacing. I don't even know what that means. This is the 3rd time this dude has popped up in the news since the AFC Championship game. It cannot get worse, but man, this has to be what you think the official exit of Cincinnati after this, right?
I mean, he should have been gone anyways, because he was going to be, and is right now, going to be the 3rd highest cap hit on this Bengals team next year. And he was an average back. Kick him to the curb.
Yeah, I mean, the Bengals they've done a good job of shedding their all prisoner team reputation that they had about 10 years ago. I'm with Wally. Just cut him at this point. And frankly, he might not get another opportunity after this, because after seeing what's going on with Zeke, nobody's really in the market for an average running back who wants to earn more than $3 million a season. I just don't care about him, though, because of the crimes. What happens to him happens to him. He made his own choices. They were all wrong. I hope the Bengals move on because they can do better.
The Bengals, I need this stat for you. The Bengals' high rate of 3+ wide receiver sets force defenses to play light boxes. Mixon led the NFL in percentages of runs versus light boxes. But of 41 running backs, he was ranked in 36th in yards per game, 39th in yards after contact, and 34th in explosive run rate. And just a couple off on what David said. If you don't think it's as bad as what David said, that will put it to rest. That's how bad Joe Mixon's been.
That's horrific. I didn't realize it was that bad. You could
saw
literally
it the
go
other
get
day.
Kareem Hunt, who's on the tail end of his entire career, and he'd probably do better in that kind of scenario.
Yep. Or go ahead and balls to the wall, get Derrick Henry.
I see Ekeler makes most sense to me, but I digress.
I'm just saying, based off that with the light boxes,
would be hilarious.
I mean, just imagine a 3 wide receiver set in a light box versus Derrick Henry. Like, pick your poison, dude. Like, is Derrick Henry going to beat me, or is T. Higgins, is Jamar Chase, is Tyler Boyd going to beat me?
I know we're getting off the speed part, but I just doesn't it feel like Derrick Henry, I don't know how much better he'd make the Bengals offense. Like, he just doesn't feel like he'd fit that style of play to me.
Wouldn't hurt.
He doesn't. He wouldn't get the ball enough to, like, some games he would. He would get the ball 20 carries, but if you're going to give him 14 carries, he's probably going to get, as much as we give him he runs over everyone ruse, he really gets stuffed maybe 2 yards down the line, probably every other run. So it's, you'll get your 7 yards and then you'll get your 1 yard carry. And are you playing that game with 15 carries a game?
I mean, to me, it comes down to you need a running back who's going to be able to stay in and block sometimes for you too. And I know I just said Ekeler is a better fit. He would be more of the 3rd down spell back. But we talked about Zeke. I'd love if he could come off of being at a ridiculous clip.
Well,
if the Bengals could get Zeke,
he'd fit perfectly.
He'd fit great. It's just he has superstar brain where he doesn't realize he's not 2017 Ezekiel Elliott
He's
anymore.
OBJ without the positional discreditation.
I like it. We're
I
going to
don't
roll
know.
with that
That's
anyway.
I
Say
botched that
with your
word.
chest.
Tim Boyle,
The legend.
Stevens boy, Stevens Packers legend, is now a New York Jet. Makes it feel like another domino falling into what is eventually going to be a trade for Aaron Rodgers. It has to be, right? Like this is the only thing that makes sense here is to get his best friend practice squad quarterback.
If this doesn't get Aaron to New York, I just don't know what is at this point, right? The deal's getting, is it going to get done now, tomorrow? I will say this: I have seen reports. I've been diving deep, been messaging a lot of people. Breaking news: from now up until September 10th, Aaron Rodgers will be traded within that timeline. September 10th is the first game of the regular season. Breaking news: within that time frame, he will be traded to the Jets.
Look, if the Jets GM is anything like me, this is all a ruse to get all of Aaron Rodgers' guys and then not trade for him so he's a miserable son of a bitch all of next season, because I hate that man so much. And I hope he disappears.
Yeah, which makes
from
sense.
planet Earth.
Why the Jets would want to bring in a guy to fail. I'm with you. That makes sense.
No, they're not going to trade for him. This is all bring in all of his favorite guys and make him think that he's going to get traded, and then send him back to Green Bay to be a miserable. I don't have enough help around me. Go get my guys.
Makes a lot of sense for Joe Douglas.
And then Saleh gets fired,
and then go trade for somebody else.
And then Saleh gets fired.
I'd rather see the Jets trade for Trey Lance.
Saleh as their defensive coordinator after, and then it all works out.
I would rather see the Jets get Trey Lance than Aaron Rodgers. I hate Aaron Rodgers so much.
Yeah, just like Joe Douglas, obviously. Yeah, we can't tell who you don't like.
And that's going to bring us to an end of another episode of Loss of Down. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe on our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Loss of Down. Make sure to retweet us on Twitter, _loss. Remember, this episode is brought to you by Tabbies.com as well as Abby Turner Creative. Wally, David, any parting words for the squad tonight?
Housekeeping. YouTube. I'm going to start having more of these full episodes, especially this time of year. I have more time. They're typically shorter. So if you like watching these instead of listening to them, YouTube, or just do both, because then we're happier and you do us a favor. So just do it all. And the other thing, which will be on YouTube, is going to be coming out later this month. We're going to be doing a draft, like a mock draft preview with the three of us. And you guys as fans, as you have heard us talk about in past episodes, if you have interest to draft for your team, text one of the three of us. What we're going to be doing is we're going to have a one-ish minute timer on your guys' pick. You give us your reason, and then we'll all talk, the four of us, for a minute or two longer. And that way we can get a 2-hour special out. It's a lot of fun. You guys get to be a part of the show, and hopefully that makes it more special to you too. Just wanted to give you guys heads up at home that we have that coming up. So reach out to one of us if you are interested. David and Steven, what else do you have?
Nada.
With the weather being so beautiful, song of the day right there, a little Electric Light Orchestra, Mr. Blue Sky. Make sure to throw that on there. If it's in the morning on the way to work, if it's on the way back, throw it on there. Absolute bop. That whole album is.
Immediately makes your day better too when you have Mr. Blue Sky. Yeah. Last thing for me, less housekeeping and more of a personal thing. Housekeeping. Dane Brugler of The Athletic. He is the literal reason why I still have a subscription. Today marks one of my favorite days every year. He comes out with his full preview of the draft. It's called The Beast. It's 300-400 pages every year of every draftable kind of player, the rankings of these players, the film, the goods, the bads, the uglies. He gives you his top 100. It's a fantastic read. If you guys have The Athletic, if you're interested in the NFL draft, learning a little bit about these guys ahead of time, I can't recommend it enough. Again, Dane Brugler of The Athletic. Boom.
That's all I got.
Sweet. Well, then We will see you guys back next week. Look, probably 2 weeks for that draft preview. We'll have an idea probably better next Monday. But we'll see you then.
Can't wait. Kylie just came back from
Kylie
came back from Charleston, brought me back some Bowberry biscuits. That's something I forgot to say. Bojangles opening up here in Columbus within the next week or two.
What?
Cannot wait.
Are you
Dead
serious?
ass.
I've never had Bojangles.
Oh, it's
It's the most average restaurant you'll ever have in your life,
But
David.
it's like-
But people
but
like
it's
Steven,
really
the
good.
Southerners. Yeah, well, it's like we all have our thing regionally. That it makes no sense. Like, you know how Cincinnati has Skyline and we're like, that's just trash, but they'll swear by it. Bojangles is like the Southerners, like they swear by it. I don't get it, but all the credit to you guys who do.
Bojangles over Popeyes.
Woo, that's a take.
I'll sit here.
Do they got a chicken sandwich?
See, I never.
I'll try it out.
They
I
have
haven't
a
had
whole
it.
other realm I never mess with because I'm strictly give me Bowberry biscuits, give me Cajun filet biscuits, give me 4-piece Supreme Dinner French fries, sweet iced tea, extra honey mustard, both sides.
Woo,
I want some fried chicken now.
Yeah,
I tried it out.
it's fucking good.
All
I can't
right.
wait.
I'll give Bojangles another shot when I come around. Now that it's going to be out.
Come around.
Problem is that they also have Culver's in Columbus. And
Where's
once you
Culver's
get
at?
Culver,
No,
you.
I'm saying don't
Culver's, you
relax. I'm
disrespectful.
agreeing
Okay.
with you, you fucking clown. I'm saying don't bother going
Better
to
be
Bojangles
agreeing.
if you're gonna go to Culver's, you fuck.
I was gonna
Culver's?
swing. Wisconsin's
What,
finest,
burgers?
best fast food place
It's
you'll
like,
ever
it's like
see.
a different style of burger.
Burgers.
Like there are
Yeah,
butter
see, bro, they
burgers.
even put
there's-
Bojangles in their
baby.
mouth, bro. It's different restaurant.
Very different. I'll say that. Very
Put 'em
different.
out.
Battle
Battle of
with
But yes.
KFC just for the fried chicken now.
Fuck
I'd rather have
no.
Cane's.
Yeah,
Cane's
on, give me
doesn't deliver,
Cane's
brother,
cane
and I'm not
sauce.
trying to drive 30 minutes to find Cane's.
Can't get like a DoorDash for.
Get on.
I'm on my way.
You